Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha. Jaya Giri Varadari. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha. Jaya Giri Varadari. Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Yashodanandana. Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Yashodanandana. Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jamuna Tiravanachari. Kunja Bihari. Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privraj Acharya Sutta Gracious Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privraj Acharya Sutta Gracious Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishwadi Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Agora Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. All glorious devotees, all glorious devotees, all glorious devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glories of Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Reading from the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 6, Chapter Preaching to America, Part 1. While in Berkeley, Srila Prabhupada received a visit from Yogi Bhajan, founder of the HHH Foundation. Swami Chittananda, president of the Divine Life Society, and Jain leader Swami Sushil Muni, president of the World Fellowship of Religion. Swami Sushil wore a white turban and across his mouth a white mask, in tradition of the nonviolent Jains, who, to try to avoid killing even airborne microbes. Yogi Bhajan, dressed in a typical Sikh fashion of white turban and white loose-fitting garments, was accompanied by a few of his Western disciples similarly attired. Visits from various swamis and yogis were not uncommon to Srila Prabhupada. Even when he did not agree with a particular philosophy, he was always the cordial host, pleasantly receiving guests in his simple quarters. In Hawaii, Yogi Bhajan had also visited Srila Prabhupada to invite him to his Unity of Man conference, which many sadhus were already scheduled to attend. Srila Prabhupada had spoken sternly, pointing out that simply gathering people at a meeting was not unity. Real unity could be achieved only if the participants of the meeting agreed to accept the authorized science of God in the revealed scriptures. Now they had come to invite him to a second Unity of Man conference. Swami Sushil and Swami Chittananda were particularly enthusiastic in praising Srila Prabhupada and his ISKCON. Your movement is something different, said Swami Chittananda. It's all over the world, and you have so many thousands of people all over the world. We can't describe it. It's so amazing. And in this age, how wonderfully it has been done. Without God's mercy, nothing could have been done. That 6 lakhs of magazines have come out and been distributed in 1 month. It's amazing. Brihat Pradanga Srila Prabhupada translated books Vishan Ki Jai! Jai Ho! Jai! Okay. Swami Sushil added, "You have established the same principles without any change here in a modern way. In Bengal, within your ashram, we couldn't have done anything. When we know that there is an ashram of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we don't need to worry about anything. Where to stay? What strikes me is that you don't compromise anywhere." They mentioned the horrible sin of cow slaughter, and Srila Prabhupada told how his movement was protecting cows in New Vrindavan. When Swami Sushil asked how Prabhupada interested the young people in God, Prabhupada gave the example that the most popular sweet shop in Delhi was the one where everything was made with pure ghee. The brahmacharis know where the sweet shop is? Okay. If the thing is good, Srila Prabhupada says, then there won't be any shortage of customers. He further pointed out that his teachings were based purely on Bhagavad-Gita, surrendered to Krishna. When Swami Sushil asked how Prabhupada got his followers to take shelter of Krishna, Prabhupada replied, "It's God who did it. God says, Mamikam Sharanam Braja." So that is our duty, just to take shelter of Him. Lord Chaitanya says, Yare Deka Tarakaha Krishna Upadesh. That is, whoever you meet, just preach the teachings of Krishna, as in the Bhagavad-Gita. I don't have any other Upadesh instructions. It is Krishna's Upadesh. We are all foolish. We can't have any Upadesh. So what are the teachings of Krishna? We must keep on saying them. Krishna does do like that, and that's what we do. So this is our secret, I do this, and that's what I teach all these people. I am totally against manufactured religion. Evam parampara praptam, just as Krishna says. In reply to Swami Sushil's questions of how people should be brought together, Prabhupada quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that lists many races of the world and explains all of them to be purified by taking shelter of Krishna's pure devotee. Prabhupada's guest again invited him to their conference, and Swami Sushil added, "We are very glad to meet you today. We want to call you sometime in our meeting in Yoga Dharma." "We'll come," said Srila Prabhupada. "What about your fellowship?" "It's called the World Fellowship of Religion," said Swami Chidananda. "Yogaji has made this Unity of Man's Conference. But we invited him, and Yogi Bhajan," said Yogi Bhajan, referring to the previous invitation, "Swami Chidananda, but now you are having the second one." Yogi Bhajan, "Yes. The second meeting is in Mexico. We will call him then as well." Srila Prabhupada smiled and said, "I have told you before, there's not going to be any unity." This candid remark made them laugh. "You say," said Swami Chidananda, remembering Prabhupada's analysis, "that until everyone is God-minded, until then Prabhupada will desire," said Yogi Bhajan. "Then everyone will become God-minded. What's the great deal about it? God himself says," said Srila Prabhupada, "Dukkayama shashvatam." There is suffering. You cannot stay in this world. You have to leave. The main problem is birth, old age, and disease, and death. So we're not anxious to adjust these things here, but these are the real problems. What can we do about birth, old age, disease, and death?" asked Swami Chidananda. Srila Prabhupada continued preaching Bhagavad-Gita without overtly disagreeing. Srila Prabhupada's guests inquired and listened with respect, considering him a great spiritual leader, potent in spreading the Hindu Dharma. "He is great," said Yogi Bhajan. "That's what I want to learn, how he can do that." The conversation returned, and Prabhupada mentioned that Yogi Bhajan was from the Sikh community, which is famous for its brave fighters. When the British people were defeated, and Srila Prabhupada, "It was by the Sikh people," said Srila Prabhupada, "it was by the Sikh people. I have seen it. It is due to the Sikhs only. The Sikhs are Kshatriyas. Some of them are Brahmanas, Brahmashatriyas." Swami Sushil said, "Yes, I have said to some of my students that you should go to Prabhupada-ji, and he can make you Brahmana Kshatriyas." Prabhupada, "Yes, let us cooperate like that. You do the work of the Kshatriyas, and we'll take the work of the Brahmanas. For Brahmanas, we need brain, and for Kshatriyas, we need strength." As they spoke about the nonviolence, Srila Prabhupada argued that if one does not become God-conscious, then he'll undoubtedly be committing himsa, or violence. Yogi Bhajan, "Yes. When they come to their senses, then they remember God." Prabhupada laughing, "Here in the West is only himsa, nothing else." Prabhupada's guests laughed with him. Afterward, they took some photographs, and Srila Prabhupada invited them, along with some of his disciples, to sit and take Krishna Prasadam together. Srila Prabhupada requested his guests to attend the San Francisco Rath Yatra to be held the next day, and they agreed. What I'll do is just finish another 2 paragraphs, and that'll be the chapter. You can start in chapter 3 next time. July 20th, 1975. This was not only the largest ISKCON Rath Yatra ever, but also the largest gathering of devotees to date, larger than even the international gathering at Mayapur earlier that year. Preparations at the temple site had expanded to include prasadam booths, deity paraphernalia displays, souvenirs, and Prabhupada's books. Thousands joined the more than 800 devotees of the procession through the Golden Gate Park. Because the builders of the carts had decided to make steel wheels instead of the usual wooden ones, difficulty arose. Srila Prabhupada had warned them, "This is your American disease, always changing. Do not change the old design." But they had already done it. Riding in Subhadra's cart, which had wooden wheels, Srila Prabhupada experienced no personal inconvenience. The two other carts, however, did not fare so well. They began to vibrate so severely that support beams had to be added to the spokes during the procession. Soon the wheels became mishapen, and they creaked and rattled as though about to collapse. But somehow, after much difficulty, all three carts completed the course. In the midst of the Rath Yatra activities, one of the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada if he had ever attended the Rath Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri. "No," Srila Prabhupada replied. "I was having my own Rath Yatra." Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Maritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatrupyascha Kripasandrupyahe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavev Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Makam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Lai Kripitalam Vande Shri Guru Nitanam Shri Paramandavandavam Shri Chaitanya It is a nice program reading from the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Every Ekadasi you're doing like this, very nice. Because it is the person Bhagavat that gives us understanding of how to follow the book Bhagavat. And it is the book Bhagavat that helps understand the person Bhagavat. Interdependent gurus. And here in this exchange between Srila Prabhupada and Yogi Bhajan and Sushil Swami, and in this way, there's a discussion going on. And by reading this, I was, like different commentaries that were here, what came to mind, different words Yogi Bhajan was making, also in reference Swami Chidananda and Swami Sushil. They were speaking about how is it possible that you can make so many young persons Krishna conscious. And they have these organizations, Unity. Of course, we have many different types of get-togethers. And Prabhupada made it very clear, it's not there will not be unity unless there's Krishna consciousness. So it came to mind for me by reading this particular part of the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita was an aspect of technique in devotion, where those who are not steeped in the process of bhakti will figure different methods that complement the real absolute truth, which is not an ascending process. It's not on our own strength. It's not with our own technique that we make others Krishna conscious, but it's actually a descending process where the grace comes from above, as described here. Evam parampara praptam. There has to be a bona fide chain of disciplic succession
coming from the Supreme Lord. Within that succession, there is a line of pure devotees. Pure devotee refers to someone who's unalloyed, surrendered to the desires of the Supreme. He teaches his dependents that actually we have to be willing recipients. Oh. I thought as a note, Maharaj, you got 3 more minutes. No. You wanted me to speak about book distribution. Okay. And so Srila Prabhupada's genius was to simply present things as they are. Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Jai ho, Shishi Gauritai. Shishi Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Shishi Radha Parthasarthi Vishaka Devi. Ki Jai. Simply presenting things as they are. So in the Bhagavad-Gita 4:34, the Lord makes it very clear. Tad vidi pranipatena parispasena sevatya utpadakshandi degyanam gyaninas tattva. Just render, hear from those acharyas in civic succession in a submissive manner. And the tattvadarshis, they can empower you. They can purify you. So the process is very, very simple. Just follow the parampara. I remember when I was in kindergarten, and they had a game that the teachers would play with the children called Chinese Whispers. And probably had some similar maybe event that the teachers in India would use. But the principle being is the teacher would speak into the ear of one of the students. I wouldn't say disciple, but one of the students. And the student would say, this was supposed to say the same thing to the next student, next student, next student. So the teacher, like in this occasion, said, the students will be getting out at 4 p.m. today from school. Okay? But then it got through a parampara of 22 students. And by the time it got to me, we're getting out in half an hour, yay! Parampara broken somewhere along the line. In our spiritual parampara, we repeat exactly what has been presented by the previous acharyas. And as we develop this sense of by following, we develop a reality of Shraddha. We develop a sense of faith. And from that Shraddha, with Srila Prabhupada, in his expertise of how to make sense to others by simply presenting Bhagavad-Gita as it is, helping others to remember Krishna, never forget him, all these principles of what's called the descending process, taking shelter of the Lord, not trying to make programs, or as Prabhupada is saying here, he was completely against manufactured religion. Because when there is a parampara, there's a full connection. So Prabhupada, I spend much time in Radhakund, and oftentimes we go out to the Sangam, which is right between Radhakund and Shyamakund. And that is exactly where Srila Prabhupada got the instruction from his spiritual master. If you ever, I'd rather sell the marble of the temples and print books. Of course, you don't have to do this. Temple's doing very nicely. You're printing books, distributing books. Actually, there's nothing wrong with temples. There's nothing wrong with marble. But the point is, book distribution has to be the basis. You're adding to what you said. So in this way, Prabhupada was just a spiritual genius following. Of course, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was the greatest genius, and he provided the instructions to Srila Prabhupada, distribute books, go to the West, and preach in the English language. So in this way, there's a healthy parampara. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was inspired to print books, to establish printing presses, and Srila Prabhupada, he followed that instruction to the letter. And in this way, this is what has united so many different personalities. Like you look in the room today, different persons from different parts of India, different parts of, internationally speaking, from America, Russia, Germany, what have you, that there's a unity and diversity. And Srila Prabhupada gave the example of when you cook in the kitchen, there may be so much noise going on and pots sounds like that. But the ultimate common denominator is actually to cook a nice preparation for the service of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada was able to unite different persons through this book distribution in order to teach them a brilliant lesson. What does a book distributor learn about giving a book Bhagavad to someone? Is to find a common denominator, to find a common value. And there's many ways one can do this. But you find a common denominator, present the deity, and then you get a donation. Because if they make a donation to the deity, then ultimately they become purified by giving some of their hard-earned capital in service, and they're more able to assimilate the meaning of the Shastra, because the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam Tam, Krishna provides some intelligence. He gives intelligence. Okay. So in this way, we see that Prabhupada was such a genius in this regard. So it's interesting to note, Srila Prabhupada created a worldwide web of Krishna consciousness through different countries. The same essential principle of presenting the Yuga Dharma. Two aspects of the Yuga Dharma which was given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the current of the process of devotion, is Namruchi, that one must develop a taste for the Nam. And in this way, we have the Nam Sankirtan. Of course, the book distributions, the Brihat Mridanga. The Mridanga can be only heard around the block. But the Brihat Mridanga can be heard everywhere. Every book distributed has a potential of affecting, in a very powerful way, it has the effect of purifying the atmosphere, where even this sacrifice, this Sankirtan Yagna, is benefited in other parts of the world. Talk about a real Brihat Mridanga. By distributing that one book, it has an effect internationally. This is the power of this Namruchi. And also, the principle, the Vaishnav Seva, of serving the Vaishnavas. And Jiva Doi, the principle which Mahaprabhu taught about giving mercy to someone. You see, at these meetings here, Prabhupada is emphasizing there cannot be unity unless there's a common denominator of Krishna consciousness. So in this way, Prabhupada is emphasizing this point. There is this distribution process, this selfless service, Jiva Doi, giving mercy to others, means compassion, means heart transformation. When you think of this word book distribution, we have to think of this word of heart transformation. So we can have the BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. So we can also think in terms of the BBT and the HT Book Trust. Heart transformation. Distribute and transform your heart. The Shastras describe, if you distribute a full set of Srimad Bhagavatams on a full moon, of the auspicious reality that is there. So again, yes, Srila Prabhupada, he gave a sense of direction, unifying persons with different backgrounds in a common denominator. Now look amongst you. Many of you persons have come from different parts of India or different parts of Delhi, different families, Brahmin, non-Brahmin. But by the Sankirtan you're all coming to the Brahminical platform. Unity in diversity. And Prabhupada gave his famous example of how with the East and West combining, how the East, India has spiritual wisdom, has great sight, but there may be some handicap materially. The West has no handicap in terms of material strength, but has handicap in terms of vision. So you combine the East and West. You put the Eastern personality who has vision on the shoulders of the strong person with material might, and what a combination that you have. This is the web that Srila Prabhupada has created. I joined in San Diego Temple, and maybe one story you haven't heard of, but that very, very charming story when Srila Prabhupada was giving the Srimad Bhagavatam class. One Billy came, one cat, meow, came over to Prabhupada. And the boys were wondering, oh, what's going to happen? So then the cat came before Prabhupada, and Prabhupada put out his foot and put it right on the cat. And the cat went on its back, and Prabhupada stroked the stomach of the cat with his foot. And Prabhupada noted, just see how pure love, it resides in the hearts of all living entities. As this cat is experiencing some affection, the jiva has pure love for Radha and Krishna within its heart. The next day, the cat left its body. Srila Prabhupada ki. What a blessing. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so many examples are there by different personalities embracing Lord Chaitanya. That one dog was there, took darshan of Mahaprabhu, was so purified and went back to Golok. This is the mercy coming, the descending electricity in parampara. So it's an interesting event of here Srila Prabhupada, who coming with 32 rupees that he had in his possession, and traveling to the West, great austerities, establishing a Krishna consciousness movement. And here is the Acharya sitting there, he's petting a cat, purifying this living entity who gets promoted back to the spiritual world the following day. So, okay, the cat could be benefited. What to speak of those of us who maybe have some human form? Actually, the beauty of the human form is that one can understand a sense of urgency. Because of that sense of urgency, we understand realization coming from the Tattvadarshi, one who possesses transcendental knowledge, and that was Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada here is giving advice to these different spiritual personalities. You have to surrender to the Supreme. Then there's Saranagati. Then there is full shelter. There's full happiness. There's full peace. You see what Srila Prabhupada masterfully done. If we lived under a coconut tree, how many people would want to come to the temple? So many of you look at this beautiful temple which has been built. Great facility. It can be used in a wrong sense. But you see how many guests are coming through here? How many persons in this room visited the temple as a guest before becoming more serious or wanting to become a brahmachari or brahmacharini? How many persons visited? Wow. So that's about 1/3 of the room. You've had visitors. Another side note, we should always have someone greeting the guests. Srila Prabhupada said that actually a pujari can stop the puja on the altar to greet the guest. Because you have good manpower here, you don't have to do that. But someone should always be mingling with the guests. And then we have many different book tables like that. So Prabhupada, he emphasized creating facilities and temples and farm communities which can make sense to people. So many of you persons have coming here just as a visiting, they may think, oh, look, it's very nice dress, and these boys during the winter have very nice warm jackets. There's an example. No, good clothing. I'm not thinking any of you said like that. But it's a very nice, apparently attractive material facility. Oh, but wow, there's beautiful deities here. And the prasadam, the food, is so wonderful. Where's our sugar addict here? He's not here? Is Sarva, what's his name? Huh? Shastrapriya. Shastrapriya, Daiho! Daiho! So prasadam can attract all. The deities can attract all. The wonderful facilities can attract all. I know it's like you could judge a class on a scale from 1 to 10. I'm getting to a point of maybe 7 or 8 when I hear from the corner. No. So in this way, it's all attractive. For example, one Mataji coming who may know how to make garlands for the first time, and she's making garlands, and all of a sudden addiction develops, making these garlands for the service of the Lord, making garlands that are placed in the deity, making garlands that are to be given to the different devotees. You see what's happened here by Prabhupada's mercy and his pure dependence, following in parampara. You are tricking everybody. Yes, you're giving nice facility. You're tricking persons. Take shelter. Don't come with us. Be one of us. Join with us. One thing, when I first became a devotee, which was I was amazed that if you go to a big, for example, pandal program, or if you see a musician, or if you see for example, the Prime Minister speaking, that is the object of attention, and you're the audience. But actually, the process of Krishna consciousness means you don't have to just be in the audience. You can actually unite together. You can be on stage as you distribute the books. You can be on stage as you perform the Harinam Sankirtan. You can be on stage as you distribute these different transcendental literatures. So it becomes very exciting. Instead of watching, you participate. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna combined, by the mercy of his different angas, has made this most wonderful process. It is actually, Srila Prabhupada once described that the Mahaprabhu's movement is Rasa Leela, but in male form. And actually, this is our philosophy, that the acharyas are actually engaging many personalities in different rungs of society to add Krishna. So Prabhupada was trying to express to these different personalities that you must have a common denominator of surrender to God. And in this way, one develops a great sense of spiritual freedom. Now, one time, Srila Prabhupada, actually this temple's followed the same instruction. Srila Prabhupada said in Los Angeles, which is the most famous temple in America, because it's following a particular formula. One, Srila Prabhupada emphasized, foremost is book distribution. Second, he emphasized was Harinam Sankirtan. And also he emphasized the importance of prasadam distribution. Prabhupada said, if you do these 3 things, you'll be successful whatever you do. So I look at this temple. There's book distribution. There is Harinam Sankirtan. And there is transcendental prasadam distribution. And just see how successful this temple and the temples in this area which are following that same example. So Prabhupada has so mercifully provided a facility to make spiritual advancement, and those who are dear to Prabhupada, those who are willing recipients of his mercy, establish the same formula, the same working formula which the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati gave Srila Prabhupada on the banks of Radha Kund to distribute transcendental literatures. So it's no wonder we see the devotees here, and I must admit, visiting many temples around the world internationally, that the Vaishnava culture here is the greatest of any temple I've ever been to. That's the mercy of Shri Shri Radha Parthasarthi. Even better for me, it's better than Mayapur Dham. Why is that? Because ultimately, the Dham provides facility for preaching, but it is in the arenas outside the Dham where you're forced to distribute knowledge. You're forced to create a powerful culture, because the only supports you have are your temple facility, apart from the spiritual injection of the deities and the nam and the orders coming in parampara. So the greatest fortune is that, to realize Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada's genius is that if you simply focus on a platform of distribution, you can remember Krishna consciousness, you can remember Radha and Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nitai Gaur, anywhere you go in the world. While these different spiritual leaders here, we need a community. We need, for example, a meeting to feel strong. Nothing wrong with the meetings, but by distributing transcendental knowledge in some shape or form, there is complete realization. Now, Sanatana Goswami, as you remember, he was a great magistrate, very rich but devoted personality, and he was jailed because of his attention to spiritual culture. So anyway, it's a long story, but he was able to escape that condition. And when he finally came before Mahaprabhu, he was very niggardly, very, not dressed so well. And Mahaprabhu said to his servant, "Oh, a great Vaishnava is by the door." And the servant looked. "No, I simply see a Muslim." And Mahaprabhu invited him in. But Mahaprabhu noticed Sanatana, he had in the cold season, you have some nice chadar. It was given to his brother or sister on the path. He had nothing. So Mahaprabhu noticed he has this opulent chadar. He kept looking at that chadar. And then Sanatana's realization, Mahaprabhu means a kinchana, thoroughly exhausted of any material attachment. So then he went to give his chadar to one poor man who was saying, "Oh, you trying to make fun of me? Huh? What is this? You're making fun of me? You're giving me your nice chadar, and you want to take my cheap chadar, broken with everything?" So anyway, Sanatana was able to obtain that. Then Mahaprabhu could understand, was very pleased. Yasyanam hasye tanam shanai. To show special mercy, I take everything away. So in one sense, when Srila Prabhupada set out in the Jaladuta, Prabhupada had everything. He had all the spiritual armor, but almost like he had his health. He had strong health, but then he had a heart attack. And then Prabhupada, when he saw the deities in a dream, Krishna rowing the boat, pulling him along, pulling the Jaladuta like that the Lord placed Srila Prabhupada through that situation, almost like forcing Prabhupada to remove any last attachment to material amelioration, like some health, to make him fully dependent, to prepare Prabhupada that when you go to America and you then begin to make various prayers from Jaladuta, oh my Lord, if you consider me of some worth, make me a puppet, make me dance in your hands. The Lord was preparing the pure devotee to be fully dependent on him. So this way, we see in this wonderful example that Srila Prabhupada has given us a great opportunity to understand how we can push on with Krishna consciousness in a very magnanimous way. Now I'll read a little bit because today is the appearance or disappearance? Disappearance of Sri Nahari Chakravarti, Sri Nahari Saratkara Thakur. Before meeting Mahaprabhu, Nahari had written many Sanskrit and Bengali songs about the Rajaras of Govinda Giridhari. Later, he and Gadadhar Pandit always stayed with Lord Chaitanya. Nahari used to please the Lord by waving a chamra or peacock fan. Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda's Gora Arti song glorifies this. Narahari adi adi kori chamara dulaya. Nahari, Sarakara's family, was the pride of the Vaishnavas. By their influence, all the people in Sri Khanda became Vaishnavas. The entire village turned into the branch of the desire tree of love of God. Since the time of Lord Gaurachandra, Sri Khanda has been a preaching center for Gaudiya Vaishnavism. One day, Sri Nityananda Prabhu came to Sri Khanda and asked Narahari, "All right, we know who you are, so where's the honey?" By his mystic power, Narahari turned a pot of water into a super sweet honey for the Lord's pleasure. Narahari serves Lord Shyamasundar in Braj Leela is Madhumati, a pranasaki, who supplies mouth-watering honey for Radha Damodar and their dear ones. Sri Nahari Sakara, very being was saturated with Radha Krishna prema. No one can fathom the depth of his devotion and pure love for Radha and Krishna. In Braj, he is Radha's dear Saki, Madhumati, a storehouse of sweetness. And in Gauranga Leela, he is Narahari, a storehouse of Radha Krishna's prem. Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Narahari Sarakara. Books Pada Kalpaturu, Tataru, and Krishna Bhajatamrita include wonderful intimate songs praising Lord Gauranga and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Sripad B.V. Narayan Maharaj said, Narahari composed many ambrosial, nectarine songs that overflow with the sweetest devotion. In Sri Krishna Bhajanamritam, Narahari teaches how to worship Sri Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Lochandas Thakur and many others were disciples of Narahari Sarakara Thakur. Though not accessible, his samadhi is in Radhakund. Also, one transcendental pastime, Narahari Thakur, is that whenever anyone would glorify Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu would put his hands in his ears and go, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Because his whole bhav was that he's a hidden incarnation. But as Narahari, he would sing wonderful bhajans in glorification, similar glorification of Lord Chaitanya. And Mahaprabhu could not say anything. Just to see his elevated nature. Anyone else would glorify Mahaprabhu as Radha or Krishna. Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. But Narahari Thakur, when he would chant similar bhajans, the Lord would, he'd have to be submissive. Just see the power of the great devotees. In a sense, devotion can overpower the supreme. And we see an example of Srila Prabhupada, how his devotion to the Lord conquered the Lord, because what did Prabhupada always do? He glorified Krishna. And what did Krishna do? In reciprocation, he glorified Srila Prabhupada. So there's a competition between the Lord and his pure devotee of loving glorification. Similarly, if you take advantage of this great, wonderful process of distribution, transformation, just always glorifying the Lord, glorifying those in relationship to the Lord, then the Lord will use you in service, will empower you, will give intelligence in you to not only how to go back home, back to God, but to bring others with you. And that is our book distribution in a nutshell. Empowering the jivas to bring others back home, back to God and with Him. That is our process. And you can become part of that wonderful spiritual history. So in this way, by these particular pastimes of Thakur, Srinari Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada, we can develop divine inspiration of how we can also become humble servants and not watch a history go by, but become part of a spiritual history. Because those who are atheistic will think when the Acharya leaves, like those dependents of Srila Prabhupada, when Srila Prabhupada left this world, some even left, or many persons who were materialistic, how will the movement go on without the Acharya? But we see, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, everything is expanded so wonderfully. So this is eternal reality. Someday each of us will leave these bodies, but because we have made an impression in our life of distributing transcendental knowledge, and this parampara of distribution, heart transformation will go on like ripples of water. As you throw a stone into the water, and many ripples develop it from that. So do not worry about the coming and going of the great souls. Simply follow the process as it is, as given to us by our acharyas, and you'll be an example for others to do the same. So the process will go on into eternity, into the 10,000 years, a golden age, which we are beginning right now. So I will stop here. Anybody have any questions or comments in regard to?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So in the last the passage, when you read, so Prabhupada said, I never participate in Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. I had my own Rath Yatra. So it's wonderful that so he has born devotee because he did not see Rath Yatra, and he introduced in his own way in the childhood. He successfully for 9 days he performed Rath Yatra, and he never saw Rath Yatra. Such wonderful thing.
How many persons have seen the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri? And you know how many crowds are there? It was very, very, very nectarine. But Srila Prabhupada, I got my own Rath Yatra, and best view you can get, pulling the cart. Yeah, that's a very nice point. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Okay. Srila Prabhupada Leela Mritta ki jai, Jaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tagore Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.